Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I'm your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today I am going to answer a question from a viewer, and this is a question I get very often from people, particularly as many of us go out there into the world and we try and add to our clothing collection, particularly our neckwear, our ties, by thrifting or buying second hand or things from Vinted or eBay. And we end up buying ties, and there's a meaning to those ties which may be beyond our knowledge, and it could put us in a position of perhaps being accused of stealing honour or inappropriately wearing a tie when we shouldn't. But let me get to the question first, and then I'll explain my way through this. Now, I'm not going to name the person who's written to me. He may not wish people to know that he has purchased this tie, but I'm just going to read it as it arrived with me. And it basically says, I had the good fortune to chance upon a quality pre-owned silk club tie in a local charity store. The manufacturer, Turnbull & Asser, tie made for the Royal Automobile Club and was purchased by me at a bargain price. I should note that I have not yet worn the tie, but I've taken the trouble to have it professionally dry cleaned to bring it back to tip-top condition. I also wanted to put this query forward for your sage advice before wearing the tie. I've heard it can be disrespectful to wear a tie which belongs to a club which one is not a member of. However, there are a few arguments against that notion. Firstly, the original owner gave away the tie to charity rather than returning it to the club in the first place. Could this be seen as disrespectful in itself? Secondly, the item is beautifully made with plenty more use left in its lifetime, and it seems such a shame to waste that potential. Finally, wearing the tie could be good and free promotion for the club when being seen worn by a modern chap. Sadly, and I cannot afford membership to the RAC club, which has some very expensive fees, and I'm not affiliated to the club in any way. Should I return the tie to the club as a mark of respect? Or do you think it is acceptable to make use of this interesting tie in a respectful sartorial fashion? So, this is a really interesting question, and it led me to contact the Royal Automobile Club to get their take on this matter, and I'll tell you what their response was. Here's the image of the tie which we're talking about, and it is a rather smart, rather dapper tie. It's got a few little emblems on it which will become relevant in a moment. But the Royal Automobile Club, it's been around since 1879. It is probably the most prestigious motoring club in the world. And indeed, the tie which has been showed to us by our viewer here is the Pall Mall Club tie. So the Royal Automobile Club has two venues. One, their big club in Pall Mall, and they also have another out club in, I think it's called Woodcote Park. And each has an individual tie to identify the wearers from which part of the club they're from. The Pall Mall one being the one we see here, and the Woodcote Park Club tie is actually even better, I think. It's rather nifty indeed. So yeah, it is an expensive, rather exclusive private members club. To become a member of the Royal Automobile Club, it's £550 to join, and then £2,336 a year to be an ongoing member. So this is really an expensive little thing to be a member of. So now we understand the tie that we're talking about. Let's just think about club ties, regimental ties, school ties, rowing ties. They all kind of fall into this same broad category, in so much as you have to have been a member, or you are a part of the group which is affiliated to be able to access that tie. And as I say, you know, ties, few accessories in our wardrobe carry the same symbolic weight, I would say, as the tie. Certainly in British culture, because our ties are immediately identifiable. They're often quite colourful, very impressive to look at. And right from the top of society, the king himself wears a variety of different ties to do with his affiliations of groups and clubs and charities and things of that nature. And to wear the wrong tie in the wrong situation could set you up to be accused of perhaps trying to steal the honour which is associated with that body. Or even worse, if you wore a military tie, you could be accused of trying to steal valour, that you were affiliated to that particular military organisation when in fact you weren't, and you were using that tie to gain personal benefit. So that's kind of what the tie thing's all about. I mean, I'm wearing a club tie right now, but this is not a very exclusive one. This is the tie of the Union Jack Club in London. Now, the Union Jack Club is a private members club, but is a private members club which is literally open to millions of people to use. Because to be a member of the Union Jack Club, your only qualification is that you have served in His Majesty's military of some kind. Royal Navy, British Army, Royal Air Force, or any of those other affiliated bodies which are part of those. So whilst it is a club tie, nobody's ever going to bat an eyelid to see somebody else wearing one of these, because its membership group is so vast that there is no exclusivity associated with this tie. I actually wear it. Yes, I am a member of the Union Jack Club, but also I rather like the colours. So I wouldn't wear a tie which I don't like the colours of, even if I was a member of the club. Actually, the history of regimental and club ties, it harkens back to British history as a way of visually signalling one's affiliation with that body when you're not in a uniform. And that's where it all stems from. And now it includes things like rowing clubs, cricket clubs, rugby clubs, football clubs, you name it. There are ties associated to pretty much everything. The RAC club tie, which we're talking about today, still available for purchase on their website, costs £65. No longer is it made by Turnbull and Asser, unfortunately, although probably fortunately, because it keeps the price down for members. I think at the present day it is created by Paul Smith, so a little bit cheaper, £65 per tie, but you know, still somewhat exclusive to the Royal Automobile Club. Us British folks, we take our ties very seriously. If you're watching this in North America, there is far less history and heritage associated with your tie wearing than there is in this country. But still, it's something where you might consider it inappropriate to wear a tie in certain situations. So to try to answer the question here, I'm going to say these are the things where I would say it's inappropriate to wear a tie for a body which you're not affiliated with. Military or veteran organisations, if you're not affiliated to that, if you've never served in it yourself, and I expand that a bit actually, so maybe your father did, or your mother, or somebody very close to you, you know, your husband or your wife, I would think it's appropriate under those situations, but really and truly, if you're not associated to a military body, you should not be wearing their tie in public, because people who see that tie around your neck will make the quite ordinary assumption that you've served in that body, and you could be, I'm not saying accused, but it could be considered perhaps maybe stolen valour, stolen honour, however you want to consider it. This is one a little bit more appropriate for us to do today, and that is, I don't think it's appropriate to wear a tie for a private members club or a society which you're not a member of, for which there might be some element of exclusivity. Now, there's a broad range in there. Like I say, my Union Jack Club tie, you know, millions of people can wear these, and I wouldn't care, I don't think anybody would care if anybody wore them, because in wearing these ties, they're supporting the club, and much like the viewer said, it's a bit of free promotion for the club. Many clubs which have an expensive entry point to get into, or it's very exclusive to get into, very hard to become a member of. Membership is a tough thing to be in. They're not going to welcome people wearing their tie if they haven't gone through the normal route to be members. So I would say that is inappropriate. And schools and university ties, the same. You know, if you're wearing a tie affiliated to, say, shall we say, Cambridge University or Oxford University, the two of the most prestigious universities in the world, which are in the United Kingdom, and you wore that tie to a job interview, for instance, it could be said that by wearing that tie, you're trying to pass yourself off as something that you are not, trying to gain favour with somebody where you're not entitled to it, and that would be inappropriate. However, whilst inappropriate, there are areas where I think wearing ties where you're not affiliated to the parent body may be considered appropriate. Right? There's a lot of interpretation in this, you'll notice. You know, it's up to you to judge this by your own conscience. But for me, areas that I think you could get away with this is indeed if it's a vintage tie, or you've actually found it through some second-hand method, or you've bought it through Vinted, eBay, or something like that. It's come into your possession totally innocently, and you're uncertain perhaps even if it is a tie which has an affiliation tied to a body or organisation, and you're wearing that around just because you like the look of it. Now that's totally different. There's no dishonesty involved in that. There's no trying to pass yourself off as something else. You're just wearing it because you like the look of it. I'm going to say that's fine. Now, if you've bought a tie from a thrift store or something and you're not sure where its origins lie, my recommendation, do a Google reverse images search, or even better, throw that image of your tie into some artificial intelligence search engine. I actually used Chat GPT, put an image of the tie in question that we're talking about today into that, and immediately it identified it as the membership tie of the Royal Automobile Club. So immediately you know what you're dealing with. So if you're not sure and you're worried about making a faux pas in public, whip it through Chat GPT. It'll tell you what the origins of that tie is. Okay, so following on from other ways in which I think you could appropriately wear a tie which has a club affiliation, and that's through general retail. I mean, in this day and age, many high street retailers will take something that they like the look of, which may just happen to be a military affiliated tie or a club tie or a school tie, and they will make a sort of a representation, a facsimile, a copy of that tie, and they will sell it in high street stores simply as fashion. I've seen that myself. I have a Royal Air Force tie because I used to serve in the Royal Air Force. A friend gave me a tie some years ago which looked exactly like the Royal Air Force tie, but it was just sold by a high street store in the UK because it's an attractive tie. There's no issues whatsoever in wearing a tie that you've bought in a shop because you like the look of it. The only downside to it would be prepared for ex-RAF guys to come up to you and say, hey, where did you serve? So just be conscious that even though you buy it from a high street store, you don't know the origins of where that store has taken that design from. But of course, it's entirely appropriate to wear it. There's no issue with that. And finally, situations where I think you could appropriately wear a tie which may have an affiliation to a body. It's where you're just wearing it with honesty and curiosity. You've bought that tie, you very much like the look of it, and you're just gonna wear it because it's nice, it's attractive. You're not trying to pass yourself off as anything. There's no stolen honor or stolen valor or anything of that nature. Honesty and curiosity, you're just wearing it because you like it. I don't think there's any problem with that. Nobody's going to take an issue with it. Nobody's going to come up to you and demand you remove the tie, or they'll challenge you to a duel. It's just not going to happen. If I'm going to give you some quick general guidelines before I actually get into my exploration of this particular tie, I would say know what you're wearing. So if you've bought a tie second-hand, you're buying it even from a high street retailer, and it seems to have a look of a club tie or a military tie, do what I say. Just take a photo of that tie, pop it into ChatGPT, see what it comes out as. Err on the side of respect. So if you have something which you think, you've bought it second-hand, you think it may represent a regiment, a school, a club or something of that nature, that you have no affiliation to, it's probably wise to err on the side of caution and not wear it if you could any likelihood be confused with somebody who genuinely has a reason to wear that tie. So, if you are going to a social function in the Royal Automobile Club in Pall Mall and you've been invited by somebody who is a member, do not wear the tie that you've bought, which is a membership tie that you've bought it from eBay or Vinted, because you are going to be confused. It's going to cause problems. And just avoid it. Err on the side of caution. Consider alternatives. Right? If you've got a tie that you really like the look of, you just like those coloured combination of stripes, and you've discovered that it is an affiliated tie to a club body, military organisation or some such, just get out there, throw it into Google and see if there's any similar looking ties out there, and just get one that looks like it, not one which is exactly the same. And as with most things when it comes to the sartorial journey, context is everything. All right, you might have a British military tie, or even my Union Jack Club tie here, right? And it means something in the United Kingdom. But if you're on holiday in Tokyo, or you live in New York or somewhere else, right? Or Brazil or Chile or somewhere like that, nobody's going to have the faintest, foggiest idea of the origin of that tie. So you can wear it with impunity because it doesn't matter. It's not going to be confused, or you're not going to be confused with somebody who shouldn't be wearing that tie. So context is everything. It's how you wear it, it's where you wear it. So let's get back to our tie here from the Royal Automobile Club. And I actually, when the viewer wrote to me, I dropped an email into the Royal Automobile Club. I sent them an image of the tie, which had been sent to me, and I asked for their observations on it. I actually said, would it be appropriate for me to wear this tie, having purchased it second-hand? And I will give you exactly the response I received from a gentleman called Ben, who is the membership manager. And he said, good afternoon, thanks for your email. This tie is specifically designed and gifted to our members who reach our senior 100 membership category. Those in this category are the 100 longest serving members of the club. Of course, this tie has been purchased by yourself and can be worn. The only comment we would add is, if you were ever to visit the club, that this tie is not worn. So basically they're saying this is a very special tie. The emblems on it are specific and unique to their 100 longest serving members, and as such it is really quite niche. But as he goes on to say in his caveat, of course you can wear it. You've purchased it, you can do what the hell you want. There's no law that stops you doing anything. But then he goes on to say that if you were ever to visit the RAC club, we would prefer it if you didn't wear that tie. To me, reading between the lines, what they're saying is, no, you should not wear this tie. It is for somebody in a very elite group, and if somebody was to see you wearing that tie, they will make the rightful assessment that that tie belongs to the wearer, and the wearer is one of the 100 club. So in answer, and a long roundabout fashion really, in answer to your question, if it was me and I owned this tie, I don't think I could in all good conscience wear it, because it is for a very specific group of people. It's not like it's just the average club tie for the Royal Automobile Club. It's for a very special group within that club. So for me, my gut instinct is I wouldn't wear it. Unless, of course, you're walking the streets of Tokyo, New York, or Santiago in Chile, where nobody's going to confuse you with a member of the 100 Club. But me, myself, I don't think I could wear it, because it's not right. I don't own that honour that I could wear that tie myself. But that decision is yours to make, sir. I only pass my observations. I hope you have enjoyed this video today, where we've talked about whether or not a gentleman can wear a tie which is not affiliated to him. I hope we've answered it. I get so many of these questions. However, there are always new takes on it, just like today. If you have a question for me, throw it into the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to more. And if you'd like to see more extra videos, you can become one of my patrons. In the show notes below, you will find a link to my Patreon page, where you can, for a tiny monthly fee, get the numerous extra videos I make each and every week just for my patrons. So, until the next time we meet, wear your tie with pride and passion, and I'll see you soon.